get to try out the little girl this time. Man, always wonder what people taste like.
Human tastes delicious. You gotta try the cheeks. And last time we went in, I injected so many cocaines. So many tripping balls.
Oh shit, I hope I don't get stuck as the old biddy again. It smells like rotten cabbage. I mean, every time I look in the mirror, scared the myself.
Oh, I know. She frightens the crap out of me. And she looks like my grandma. The mean one.
Something on your mind, recruits?
No, sir!
Good. Then quit squawking and get your butts to the pods. Time's ticking. Move it!
Sorry.
Now!
Time Stories is a narrative-driven board/role-playing game hybrid where 4 players will work together to solve mysteries and puzzles in order to complete missions from the Time Agency. Time Stories may seem a little overwhelming, but setup and play are deceptively simple. Start off by separating out the scenario deck and putting each pile on corresponding place on the board. Careful not to accidentally look at the front side of any of the cards. Starting in the upper left corner, turn over and place the plan cards. The 2 spaces in the upper right corner are for the mission successful and failed cards and the item cards. Then lay out the base cards in alphabetical order across the bottom. Once you've done this, each player should take one of the character or receptacle cards and a pair of wood tokens with matching stickers. Now place a number of HP tokens on the card equal to the number indicated. Choose any one player to be the starting time captain and give them the time captain die. This will represent you for the game. Lastly, place the location cards in the lower left corner and set the icon reference card next to the board. That's it for the cards. Next, place the dice, shield, resource, and state tokens next to the board in reach of all players. You should start the game by taking turns reading the front of the base cards one at a time in alphabetical order and following their instructions. This will send you to your first location. All players are always together in the same location and must move to new locations as a group. At the beginning of each turn, the time token is moved down 1, and all players may communicate and take their turn together. Within 1 turn, all players get to take an action. An action includes anything that would cause them to roll against a characteristic, move their token, or decline to act at all. Any character may move to any space within a location as long as they are not locked out by an unfulfilled state or trapped by some circumstance in their current space, such as being engaged in combat. Cards locked by a state are marked with 1 or more colored squares. To unlock these cards, a set of conditions must be met. Once met, this is signified by the player taking the specified state token and placing it on the board in any empty state token space. Once on a space in a location, only players on that space get to see the front of its card. Location cards may be discussed but never read aloud or verbatim. At the end of each turn, pass the time captain die to the player sitting to the current time captain's left. That player is now the new time captain. Once the group agrees you've explored a location enough and are ready to move on to a new location, the time captain moves the small white token to the chosen location on the plan, finds the location's cards in the deck, and places them face down across the location spaces. In any case there is a tie when decisions are made, the current time captain's vote breaks that tie. The time captain then rolls the time captain die and moves the time token down to track the number of spaces indicated. Tests are performed by laying down shields on their spots under the card where the test was found. Shields are placed left to right in order shown on the card. In a case where more than 3 shields are present, just keep stacking, always going left to right. When rolling for tests, each hit on the dice removes 1 shield from the stack. Shields are removed in the opposite order they are put on. Once the dice are rolled and shields removed, if there are any skull shields showing, add any skulls you rolled to the number of skull shields visible. Subtract that number from your resistance. You take the remainder in damage. And remember, you only take damage from skulls you roll if there are skull shields visible. If any TU symbol shields are visible, lose 1 TU for each one. If any heart shields are visible, all characters participating in that challenge lose 1 HP for each one. If a character should lose its last hit point, that character is dead. Move its token 7 TU down the track. Once the time token reaches that space, the player is brought back into the game fresh. If there are less than 7 TU left, that player is out of the game. The run is over when the mission is successful or failed. If the time track ever reaches 0, read the corresponding mission failure card. The mission can also be failed as a condition of certain cards. If you read a card that tells you the mission is a success, read the mission success card. And that's how you play Time Stories. Let's try it out.
The question.
So, yeah, let's talk about Time Stories.
Yeah, Time Stories.
Time Stories.
This game is great.
That's a real quick review.
That's what else needs said? It's a hell of a game.
It is. So I think there's actually quite a bit to talk about with
Yeah.
Time Stories. One thing is just the legacy nature of the game, right? I don't know. I guess how do we feel
Well,
about?
I always, I guess if you're going to talk about Legacy, you got to talk about some of the other ones, the big ones that are known. Pandemic Legacy,
Yeah.
which is a game, and I guess the Legacy version is also encompassed in this. I've always been a fan of hating on Pandemic.
Hating on Pandemic.
I can't stand that game, and the Legacy one I can't stand even more because at the same time as being just a bad game in my opinion, you're now spending money on a game you can only play a finite number of times, and again, my opinion is it's a bad game you can only play a finite number of times.
Well, you're sprouting them out.
This, on the other hand, I have a very different opinion on in terms of Legacy.
I think just to step back a second. I think that this is. I'm always I guess timid at buying a Legacy game, because I'm worried that the games that I have in my collection, I like to have something where it will stand the test of time, where I can play it 60 times and have the same kind of experience, the same
Sure.
time every time I'm playing. This absolutely doesn't do that, but I think it was in a wonderful way.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the best part of this game was actually like the surprises and the Legacy things that you really, you wouldn't want to play it again because you can't replicate those
That experience.
surprises.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, so I'm going to change track here a little bit and say, we're talking about this game as a game. If you really think about it more as an event than a game, I think you have a lot better idea of what you're really getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Like I was telling these guys earlier, if I think about, if I get me and 3 buddies together and we're going to spend $50 on entertainment, whether it's to go out and see a movie or, go out to a bar or whatever, and, expect if you're going to get 4 people together, expecting to spend at least $50 for an event, which is what this cost, by the way. Or what would it cost here at our local game store when I bought it? Worth it. When I compare the experience of this game for the amount of time versus money spent on it compared to anything else I would do with that much money with
absolutely.
3 of my friends, this game wins hands down.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Absolutely.
And when you consider that after you bought the base game of this, all the expansions are
$25.
$25, yeah.
Which
Right.
is $5 per person if you're going with a group of people that are all playing through the games together.
Yeah, right.
Right.
A little over 5 per person.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
It's really kind of a testament to how good the game is that for sort of a modular system, where I think the first time I heard about this game was about a year ago, and it was touted to me as the video game equivalent of a board game.
Yeah, right.
'Cause
Because a lot of people talk about legacy games that way.
It was explained that it's like buying an NES and then each module of the game is a different cartridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, it feels like that. The game comes with a save feature, but even then, we didn't really want to use it. We wanted to just keep playing.
Oh,
through
yeah.
it.
I should make a note. We actually played through. It took us 3 attempts or runs. This game is done in runs. You don't expect to win your first try.
No way.
You're going to get
Not possible.
crushed. So there is a little bit of replayability in the fact that, we're all 4, fairly intelligent, like very, weathered gamers,
Yeah.
board gamers. And this game kicked our ass pretty hard the first couple
Sure.
runs through. So I would say it advertises about a 90-minute play time, which is almost exactly what it ended up being per run. And it took us 3 runs to get through. I want to say we spent close to between 5 and 6 hours.
Yeah.
Easy.
Something like that.
So, and again, that goes back to that value. Like, if you're going to spend $50 for a 90-minute movie, do this instead. Like, if you're on the fence about whether or not to get this game over the legacy issue, get off the fence.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
As far as that's concerned, I think we all agree that it's worth the price.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is a game I wanted to try for a really long time. It was, in fact, just the legacy thing that kept me away from it.
Yeah.
And I am so glad that I actually took the time to play it. It's just so much fun. And just like solving the puzzles and figuring out what's going on and the story involvement. It's so thematic and you get so sucked into it.
So a segue from that is, I guess, just talking about the game in general. And I think the biggest thing is it's going to be hard to talk about the game for us without any spoilers.
Ugh.
But
Yeah, and if you watched my How to Play, you'll notice I was very careful about no spoilers.
And
I think that's really important.
You have to be.
it would ruin the experience. Do not
not-
anything that tells you about more in depth of what's going on in the game. It will ruin your experience.
If you buy the game, don't start opening it up and looking at all the cards.
do not do that.
Do not do
No,
that.
no.
That is a huge mistake.
But to try to talk about a spoiler-free discussion, going through the game is like a series of stages where every single thing you're doing is actually consuming your time. And it leaves the game with, despite the fact that you have unlimited time in real life, during the game it really does feel like you're in a crunch. I mean, thematically you feel like you're in
Yeah. I mean, we had all the time we wanted to make decisions and like decide who's going to do what, and still you could watch us and we'd be like, no, we have to do this now. We have to figure it out and we have to do this, even though there was no one sitting there saying, okay,
there's no clock or
there's
anything.
no clock.
Right.
There's nothing that says you can't have to do everything quickly. You have plenty of time to make decisions, but you're just so frantically like wanting to
everything-
jump in.
everything
that
feels-
mindset. It's
Yeah.
so weird. The only con I have for this game personally is that I am a huge completionist gamer. If you've watched my stream, if you know me, you know I always like to 100% complete my content. I want to know what's on the front of every card.
Yeah.
And at the same time,
You can't
You
do
can't
it.
do it.
Yeah.
You can't do it because
in,
you just.
in full disclosure, we started to do that at the end of the game. And,
Once we had finished
and
it.
quickly realized that's a bad idea. So if you play this, even if you finish it, do not look at the other cards.
Right. Decision making is a big part. Like deciding what you want is worth spending the time units on is such a big deal and not wasting
Yeah.
them. And yeah, I made that mistake.
I think we all made that
yeah.
thread. Like,
I was just curious what one of the items in the game did, and I'm like, oh, well, we've played through it, we've beat it, we played through it 3 times, what's it going to hurt to look at something? I
Yep.
looked at the front of a card that we hadn't experienced yet. Don't do it.
Yep, that was a mistake.
Yeah, they can actually be relevant to things. I'm not going to spoil anything. They're relevant to other things.
there are things in this game, too, that hold over in
Yeah.
other games.
Right, exactly.
Because that's basically what the concept of the game is, that we're time cops, essentially.
You're time cops.
We're time cops, and we're going through time to stop time anomalies.
To fix the
Yeah.
time stream or something.
or to stop
yeah.
them from happening, or
Yeah.
whatever the story
The
is.
time. It's
Right.
time, so you're fixing and stopping and
yeah.
all of those
Your time
things.
agent's doing time stuff.
Yeah.
We're the old cartoon.
Yeah.
The old Cartoon Network cartoon. What is it called? With the big chunk guy, the robot, and the little kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, if we're going to talk about cons, though, I didn't think about it as we were getting ready for the discussion, but looking at the back of the box here kind of reminded me. One thing I think I did that actually kind of bothered me was each time you do a new session or new loop, you have the option of playing as a different person you're jumping into, basically.
Receptacle.
Yeah, a different receptacle. And we kind of realized pretty quickly once we started the second loop that it felt like a lot of the characters were not very useful.
Well, that's interesting because you say that, and I think we all thought that during the game, but then looking back at it, there's a couple that I thought weren't useful that might have been, especially in the later runs.
Well,
Right.
like, I generally stuck with the same character who was really good at one thing and okay at 2 other things. And I'm like, okay, it seems like from our first loop, the thing I was good at is something that is going to be important for the rest of this.
Right.
And it was useful
not,
for the
yeah.
rest of it. It was a real shame because I guess that gives you the motivation now in hindsight for future modules to, actively try different things.
Different things, yeah.
But I guess it would be nice to be able to be like, I want to stick with this person and see it through with that person, and it would kind of be detrimental, I think, if you pick the wrong person.
I guess I disagree, but I mean, I liked, so one of the aspects I think I really liked about the game was going through it in different ways every
Yeah.
time, and the fact that, like, even though you're playing the same thing, it felt very different depending on who you were playing as.
Yeah.
And all the characters, just kind of going off of this, have really, really specific advantages and disadvantages that really do affect the game quite a bit. So, I mean, this isn't a spoiler, right? This is not really spoiler
No, I
territory.
don't think so.
So, like, one of the guys, really, you cannot use him in a situation without having somebody else. Actually, there were 2 different characters
Yeah.
who had kind of this fault. They could not be used in a situation without being together. Or
With
they'd
another
be
person.
worse, much worse, and in some cases detrimental to the group to be on their own. But they were really quite good without that.
Yeah.
But there are certain situations where that really.
Well, especially like in the
Yeah.
beginning of the game where you want to kind of spread out so everyone can find clues. And it's like, oh, wait, no, I have this character who can't be by themselves, and if something maybe comes up, that could...
What's interesting is I think everybody who plays this too is going to go through it differently.
Yeah.
When
Right.
we played, we definitely. I mean, I hope this isn't really a spoiler either, but we definitely spread out every time. We were kind of like, try to do everything. And we quickly kind of found out that, at least with what we were doing, that wasn't necessarily a good idea. And I'm not going to talk about what exactly happened, but
It can put you in situations
but
that
I'm sure that not
would hurt
everybody
everybody.
does that when they're playing the game. I'd be really, really interested to, like, see in, like, a group of everybody who's played this game who could
Yeah.
even get
Get
close
it-
to
get it-
finishing in the first round.
Oh,
the
yeah,
first
right.
loop without having any prior knowledge of the game.
And I would love to see like if you ever played any of the Telltale series games, PC games,
yeah.
how after every like chapter or season or whatever you want to call it, they have like they upload the player statistics, like who did this,
Yeah,
who
right,
did that. But you can't, obviously you have to complete it yourself before
Right.
you can see
Sure.
those options.
Right.
So something like that would be
makes
really
me
cool.
kind of interested. I wonder what this game would be like with, and this is just me kind of like waxing, what this game would be like if it had some sort of electronic component to it,
Well,
like a
this-
leaderboard thing or
That's
something
an
like that.
Like a cell phone app.
Yeah,
where you could be
submit
like,
your thing.
you could, like, instead of the save features that they have within the game, be like, okay, we're going to go to the app and we're going to type in, here's what we found, here's what loop we're on, here's what we finished with.
That would be interesting. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about, we were talking about save feature, I want to make sure to mention it, is I have two conflicting feelings about the save feature in the game. I guess this might be my like one complaint about the game. While the save feature is really nice and it's very helpful in between games, so if you play one case, after you buy this one, you can buy another like scenario module, whatever you want to call them. Mark said like almost like
a new video game.
or something.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2, sure. But you can save your kind of progress from the first game, and that, I think, works great.
Yeah.
Just in concept, it's really cool. I'm curious about how good the save feature in the middle of the game is as an extended thing. So this game has a feature where you can kind of store things in a way that like you can drop at the very middle of pretty much anything you're doing and come back to it later. But so much of this was memorizing things on cards and looking at clues and making analysis of something.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you waited a week in between, a lot of those things would
Not
just
even a week.
poof. Yeah.
I know there are some of us who have terrible memories who are
Yeah,
forgetting things
right.
between loops.
Yeah, that's true. And to be honest, even with this, we had to take a 90-minute break.
Yeah,
or
just because we
something.
need to get up and take a break because we've been playing it that
So
way
we
for
so we used
2
it,
hours.
and it worked. I think it worked okay for 90 minutes. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were using it just to that save feature, that in middle of game save feature, to go from Starbucks to your house or the game store to some friend's house or something, I think it would be fine if
Yeah.
it's like a drive and you're just
Well,
switching locations.
and that's something we should bring up too. It's speaking of the save feature because we talk about forgetting things. There's no notebooks.
Well, I mean,
you don't
you
have.
could-
You
you
could
could play
realistically have a pad of paper with you, but thematically your characters don't have that.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be that kind of group, and
I think it
there's
just
nothing-
depends on
yeah.
what the group would want to do.
Which then
but-
comes back to it would be interesting to have a room of 100 different groups all playing this game.
You're right,
And just
yeah.
having some guy in the corner taking notes and finding out, oh, they did that. Oh.
I think there's one other thing I wanted to say in this, and this is kind of off topic again, but I have a group of friends who, when we played the game, I loved it so much that I insisted that they play as well. And I did not play with them because you really can't play twice.
We tried to find a way.
There'd be
There's no way.
There'd be no
No.
real purpose to it.
You
but,
could definitely curate a game for
Sure,
players
for
that
other
haven't
people.
played it.
But you couldn't play
But
it
you
yourself.
wouldn't be a participant, right?
But they played through, and if you are or are in a group with people who become easily aggravated that they can't solve something the first time, or
if you have one person that doesn't know what to look for.
or somebody who is going to be aggravated by having to remember things or something like that, this can go from like a really amazing experience to a very aggravating experience. So I mean, like, as much as I think we're all praising the game,
Yeah.
if you are somebody who's easily aggravated at something like that, this might not be the game for you.
Sure.
But
I mean, and even as much as we liked it, we almost got to that point.
we were getting close at the end.
I mean, in that third run, we were like right there, and we all knew we had all the components we needed, and we just couldn't figure it out. And then suddenly it was
It
just
snapped,
like,
yeah.
we were just like, wait, look, and we're like, oh,
You never forget the final moment of this game, I don't think. I mean,
well,
You don't forget a lot. Well, there's quite a few moments in this game I'll never forget.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think so
yeah.
too.
No,
oh my
I mean,
goodness.
there are definitely things, not the important things, but I'll
Right.
remember
Yeah, right.
certain things.
Yeah. I mean, that's the hallmark of both a good story and a good game. So,
well, I mean, this game is to not sound cliche, it'll stand the test of time. I mean, they could be making modules for this as long as they absolutely want.
Yeah, that's what. As far as I'm concerned, right now, I think so.
And as long as they have good writers for it, because this game, and I haven't played any of the other modules yet. There's 4 out now, 5,
4 or 5.
But from the very beginning, the game's got a lot of charm and it's got a lot of personality, just in terms of its writing, and
It does.
and that goes a long way for me. I mean. Once we started reading those first cards and they were like snarky to us because we were rookies and we were just out of the academy. We shouldn't even have a badge and a gun yet, but we do.
Yeah, like you've been saying, like this isn't a game for it's definitely not a game for kids. I'll put it that way. Like, it says 12 plus on the back, but some of the themes this game explores are pretty dark. I mean, there's
not even just the themes. I think there are puzzles in this. An average 12-year-old isn't going to figure out.
Right, and that's what I was saying. Like Ryan was saying, the just sort of the complexity of the puzzles. Someone that isn't like good at puzzle solving and sort of more complex game mechanics like that might get a little discouraged by this game.
Yeah.
So and I'm just noting that because the back says this game is for ages 12 plus.
Right.
No. Solid 16 plus, maybe even 18 plus, just because of themes and situations in the game.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would say 16 for the puzzles, 18 for some of the themes, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, great game. It really is.
Good game. I think that's it.
Yeah. Time Stories. Get it.
Buy it. Time Stories. Awesome game.
Yep.
Although it doesn't come with a stopwatch, even though it says it. Or a little watch there.
It'd be cool if it had stuff.
I know. That's awesome. Why does it come with that? Anyways, I just noticed that. I was thinking about it. I was staring at the back of the box. Time Stories.
Time Stories.
Time Stories.